Welcome back to Edgework here on the Hammer Betting Network, a daily live NHL show Monday through Friday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Today is Thursday, May 18th, and it feels good to be back here talking about hockey again. We have a 2-day hiatus as we wait for the third round to get announced when the scheduling was going to start, and here we are back getting ready to tee off with the first game of the Eastern Conference Finals here tonight. Florida Panthers taking on the Carolina Hurricanes. So we'll do an in-depth look at that game, any bets that we may have, where the lines are at right now, how they've moved, and we can even take a look at some of the series prices and how they've moved over time here. But before we get into all that, when we're looking especially at series prices here, we're going to be looking at a book that makes the market essentially for that, and that would be the Pinnacle Sportsbook. Pinnacle is the world's sharpest sportsbook and available to bettors in Ontario. You can find out what professional bettors have known for decades. Pinnacle is where the best bettors play. You must be 19 plus in Ontario. Please play responsibly. Not available in the US. Thank you to our friends over at Pinnacle. But so Money, how's the last couple of days off here waiting for the third round to get underway?
It's been great. I've just been sitting in the office here, just staring at the wall.
Have you gotten into the World Hockey Championships at all?
I have, yeah. I've been I've been betting where I can. It's been fun to watch. For some reason I've been watching a lot of Latvia games, and we're watching the Canucks goalie prospect Arturs Silovs, who's been looking good. So that's been that's been encouraging.
And Alex, with your couple of days with no NHL hockey, have you just been scouting out all the Habs prospects playing over there?
Yeah, well, I know they're great, so I don't need to do too much scouting for those. I've watched a little bit of the IHFs, not too much. I had to go play my own hockey last night to just to fill the void. So
Did you win?
Yep.
We did, of course.
Good.
I think we were probably -5. No, definitely not. I'm a good stay-at-home defenseman. You know, don't put in too many hard strides unless I need to.
Jacob Slavin, nice.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, we did win, but it's really it's nice to have this. It's nice to have this back. Although with one game a night, we're gonna maybe have to start giving out IHF bets too here, so that we have something for people to bet on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Especially with this limited, we look at the Game 7 the other day, so Money on the show that we were on, we were just looking, and there's like, well, there's nothing out there. We're not going to force bets here on the show, but that was kind of what it came down to from the morning and where things were at. We're like, nothing to give out. That is what it is, and with one game a night, but we will preview all the games, take a look at the line, see if there's other stuff that we can give out within that. So if you guys are in the chat as well, and you do enjoy the content here, please make sure to subscribe to the Edgework HQ YouTube channel, as well as like this stream. If you have questions for us throughout the course of the show, please make sure to send them in the chat. We will answer them here today, especially with less games. We have more time to get to the chat and all that kind of stuff. So make sure to send your questions in. We'll answer them in real time. There is one here right away. So before we get into the games, Dave Redling asked, interested in your guys' opinion on what teams play for the Stanley Cup. So if you hadn't watched the Cup prediction or the conference final prediction videos that we did, I encourage people to go and watch those, especially before we get into a situation where all of the series are underway. So you still got time to go and watch our Florida Carolina series preview, as well as our Dallas Vegas series preview here on the Edgework channel. But predictions, guys, for who's making it out of these rounds in the conference finals to the Stanley Cup. So Money, we'll start with you. Which teams are making it to the Cup final?
I'm saying Dallas against Carolina, but over the last couple of days, my conviction has wavered quite a bit. So I will still stick with Dallas and Carolina, but a lot less confident these days.
Is there a certain side that you're?
Yeah.
I'm actually feeling less confident in both of them.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm seeing the more I've been going through this series, I think that going back all season, I've always come in lighter on Vegas. I think that there's a lot of things that they do that could give Dallas trouble, and Florida, Carolina, I'm sure will touch that, but there's a lot of volatility there. So I still think Carolina finds a way, but I think Florida's gonna push them.
And Moretto, your predictions of Cup finals here?
Yeah, I unlike so many, I'm not going to waver from my heart, and I've got Carolina and Dallas. I think they we'll touch on Carolina, but I think their forecheck is
Yeah.
going to give a lot of trouble to the Panthers' kind of weak blue line, and just think the Stars are honestly just match up a little bit better with Vegas than Edmonton did, and we saw Edmonton largely handle Vegas in that series for the most. Like obviously there were a couple of games where they didn't, but for the most part they did, even in a few of those losses. And I think Dallas just matches up a little bit better. They can beat you in more ways, and they have the goaltending that the Oilers didn't. Hopefully, they have the goaltending. Obviously, goaltending can be pretty volatile, but you would think that they'll have a significant upgrade from Skinner.
Yeah. Well, I see questions here in terms of some of the smaller prop bets for the games here today. So we'll get into some of those later on. We'll take a look at the bigger picture stuff and then move our way down here as we give out best bets on tonight's game. But guys, looking at the series, when we did the series preview going into it, we were sitting at Carolina minus 127. Florida plus 110 on the series price. We've seen a little bit of movement here. We're now at Carolina minus 132 ahead of game one. Florida plus 114. That is from Pinnacle, sponsor of the show here, so we do recommend going and checking them out. But we've seen a little bit of money coming in on Carolina. So money, you told us here this morning, Teravainen looks like he's going to go here tonight and play tonight. Now we're seeing here in the price for tonight's game, looking at Carolina minus 141, best price available. Florida sitting at plus 128. Do you think that this is being reflected yet into the lines and where we're at on a game-to-game basis as well as a series price in terms of Teravainen coming back in and the information that we've got there?
Yeah, I think so. I think yesterday when Brendan Moore was talking about the lineup that he expects, I think that I don't know if it was intentional or not, but it did come out that he expects Teravainen to play. And in the preview show, we talked about this. I did bet Carolina for the series, and the biggest thing for me was that I felt that even though Teravainen's numbers in the regular season, if you just look at the raw numbers, no, they're not that great. And like, if you take that out of the lineup, you're not missing much based on his regular season. But we know his pedigree. We know the playoff numbers he's put up in the past, and we also know that on a team that already has good depth, he I felt that he could be the catalyst to kind of get more production out of the third line for Carolina. So he was one of the bigger reasons why I did bet Carolina, and it looks like he's going to go in game one. There was money that came in on Carolina yesterday. I think that was a reflection of Teravainen. So that's where we stand right now with that Carolina number in the market.
And now, Alex, you're looking at the price there. Would you be interested in a side in this one at all? But where it's at, do you feel like it's kind of settled in the right position? Maybe see this one going a little bit further at all? How do you kind of see this playing out in terms of at least the sides, the money lines here between Carolina and Florida tonight?
Yeah, I think it probably goes a little bit further with the Teravainen news. Like if you want to be on Carolina, it's like I would bet it now, but I don't think that I could justify betting it at this price. I think it's run a bit far.
Right.
It would be Carolina or nothing for me, unless I really hope it doesn't. Honestly, I really hope it doesn't move too much to the Carolina to the point where we're getting Florida at an attractive price, because I don't want to be on Florida at all. I think Carolina handles things here. Honestly, I do. I think that not to downplay what Florida's done, because I think Florida's a very they've earned their spot here for sure. You can't take that away from them. They have 100% earned their place here. I think we saw, though, in that first series, Boston was able to give them the problems we expected them to be able to. And it was just, obviously, we're finding out after the fact that Ullmark was playing significantly hurt. They obviously didn't have faith in Swayman, which, for game 7, we saw kind of why, I guess. But Ullmark handed them that series. Right? Boston was able to trouble the Florida defense. I think Carolina will be able to do that even more so. They're just so relentless. They're not going to get pulled into that, the after the whistles kind of stuff that Florida will want.
Yeah.
They're just so disciplined, so structured. Paul Maurice's teams are kind of fly by the seat of your pants. They're not the most structured teams in the neutral zone, especially. They're just a disaster. And I think that's where Carolina can really make them pay. So just like, numbers aside, I think that Carolina is the right side in this game and in this series. But again, where we're sitting at now, like minus 141 at Penny, minus 145, even minus 150 is kind of across the board. I think that the ship has kind of sailed on betting Carolina here.
And so, Money, where do we sit in terms of the total? Kind of cover the money line there, but we see the total sitting at 6, plus 103 on the over, minus 116 on the under there. Is there any side that could entice you to have a play? Do you see this market moving at all and maybe potentially waiting on a movement and then jumping in at that point? Like, where do you kind of see it with the total in this game one?
Yeah, so I would have liked a better number for the under, but I will be sitting out the total as well. Like I love series like this because there's um there's there's such a big dichotomy between the teams in terms of the way that they want to play, right? Like Alex touched on it. Carolina wants structure and patience, and Florida wants to excuse me, and Florida wants chaos and they want high event hockey. With that said, especially on the road in these playoffs, Florida has shown that they are comfortable playing on the road. They were comfortable playing. It it wasn't high. It wasn't high scoring against Toronto, but a couple of those games were high event games that probably should have gone over, right? And Florida found a way to win those games while staying on the under. So that shows that Bobrovsky probably had better series than expected, which is the reason why I wanted a better number on the under and why I'm shying away from it in game one. At some point, I do expect um, Bobrovsky's a wild card, right? And I do expect him not to put up the numbers he did against Toronto, but at the same time, it's a small sample size in the playoffs. There's no reason why he can't continue going like this. So that's what scares me. Game ones in general, I tend to go lightly on anyways. There's just a lot of volatility in game one. So I'm interested in watching this game. I'm also interested because of the difference in style of these teams. And at this point of the season, it's really hard for a team to instill their way of play for multiple games at a time. So that's why a lot of the reasons why we see like the back and forth between the teams. It's just really hard to play the same way in multiple games. So I'm looking for the overreaction in the market from a game to game basis, which goes back to my why I'm looking at this series so much and why I do embrace the chaos, because on a game by game basis, it's going to be very, very chaotic, especially if a team runs away with like one of the games. We'll see a complete overreaction in the next game.
Right. Well, that will be interesting to see. We have seen that kind of happen in some of the other series, whether it be from the totals adjusting way too much or from money lines moving a little bit in a direction too favorably. But Alex, for game one here tonight, anything for you in the total? Any thoughts from you on that side?
Yeah, like I was saying before we came on, I want to bet the under here. I just think that it's a solid bet, but yeah, the price like isn't like ideal, but like maybe like even like a half unit or something like that on the under, so we can get something on the books. But I think that there is obviously volatility here, right? Like I think that's unfair to say about Bobrovsky, but at the end of the day, like you have to, because this is still a very small sample size, and we know how erratic he can be and how he has been over the last few years, many years, whatever. But like I think that Carolina's a throw everything at the net kind of team. They're going to generate a lot of offense. They're going to generate a lot of shots, but that elite scoring talent isn't always there. So it's like a lot of times it is quantity over quality. I think that, if Bobrovsky can kind of continue to play his game and, stay the way he is, that, we'll see those chances not necessarily, convert to a lot of goals. Whereas I think Florida's going to struggle to generate offense against Carolina right now. Carolina's very good at suppressing shots against. They're very good at suppressing offense, and say what you want about Frederick Anderson, but like if he's not going to be tested a whole lot, it's hard to see Florida, lighting him up at the same time. So I think that there is a very clear pathway here to the under. And while there is some volatility for both teams, I do think that that's a solid bet. And then Daniel talked about it in the chat too. That was one of the prop bets. That's another way to kind of attack this as well, where I think Carolina is going to throw a lot of stuff at the net. I think the pathway here to beating Bob is to take his eyes away, get traffic in front, throw a lot of pucks on net. And that's kind of right in the DNA of the Canes. That's exactly what they like to do. That's what they have to do here. So I think we're going to see a ton of shots from them, shot attempts at least. They're generating the most shots per 60 minutes in the playoffs at 5-on-5, continuing on from where they were in the regular season as a top team as well. Panthers do allow a lot. Again, they play that, they can play that high event hockey, even though we didn't see so many touch on it. We didn't see goals, but, we saw a lot of shots as well in that series. And I think that, they're even in the playoffs, they're allowing the fourth most shots per 60 at 5-on-5. I think that Carolina's going to generate a lot. And I think that over 31.5 saves, which Bobrovsky has cleared now in 6 of his last 8 games, I think that is a solid bet.
Okay, so do you want to lock that in here at minus 122 on the over 31.5 for Bobrovsky?
Let's do it.
All right, so we take a half unit on the under 6, minus 116. We did lock that in. And we will take the over 31.5 saves, minus 122 here for Sergei Bobrovsky. We will recap these all at the end, but as you notice throughout the show, whenever we're going to give out a bet, whether it is on a side, a total, or a player prop, we're making sure that we are getting the best number available for every single bet, because we have multiple sports books ourselves. We're going to encourage people to line shop here for all the bets that they're going to place. And the easiest way to improve as a sports bettor is by using multiple sports books and always getting the best odds. We recommend using an odds comparison tool like BetStamp, like we're using here today to do so. BetStamp compares odds across every sports book for games, futures, and player props. You can save time and money by checking BetStamp before you bet. Download the app today in iOS, Android, as well as signing up on web. If you are looking to sign up for a new sports book, a book that you don't have, something you see pop up on the screen here that you wish you could get that number, please make sure to go over to betstamp.app/edgework as well. You can click the link in the description, whether you're watching here on video or if you're listening back on podcast, it is available to you there. So click on betstamp.app/edgework to sign up for any new books that you want. Signing up using that link does help support the Edgework show. So if you're going to sign up, make sure to head on over there. But so money. Any player props for you here tonight that you might be looking at? Anything you get away from the main markets, go to the smaller ones? Anything jumping out off the page that you want to get involved in tonight?
I really looked and I couldn't find anything. Like I went through everything, and nothing really made sense to me on that front.
Yeah, fair enough. We're not going to force anything here on the show. We'll give out bets. If we have the bets, we're not just going to give them out for the sake of giving out bets. So that's what you get here from the Edgework crew. Honesty, transparency, and not forcing things. If we're not going to bet it ourselves, we're not going to give them out here. Moretto, any other picks for you in terms of player props tonight?
I can maybe, channel my inner Toddy props here. And when I was looking, I did see, I think that this just plays into the exact same handicap for the Bobrovsky one. But if you're going to look at a Carolina player to target here, if you want to play like a shot prop, I think Brent Burns over 3.5 is a good look. He's generating a ton of shot attempts. And again, like I said, they're going to, the way to attack this team is to get pucks in from the point, from traffic. We saw Riley, he had a decent amount of shots in the series, and he's not someone who shoots nearly as much as Burns. Burns really does rack up the shot attempts. And I think that they're going to control a lot of the play as they have all playoffs when he's on the ice. So there will be a lot of opportunities for him to continue that. So over 3.5 shots on goal for Brent Burns, I think is a good look as well. And also obviously getting that first power play time, first power play unit as well. The Panthers have allowed a lot of opportunities on the penalty kill. And, most penalized team in the regular season. That has kind of carried over into the playoffs. Not as much in the later stages of that second round series. But again, I think there'll be a lot of opportunities here for Burns to clear this number.
All right, there you go. we end up with 3 bets here today. So one game, we got 3 bets tonight. These will be a little bit shorter shows as we go along, especially considering there's one game a day. We will recap when we get to tomorrow's show. We'll talk about the game from the night before, but otherwise we'll be in a position here where we're just going to be previewing the game that night of. So yes, these probably will be shorter shows moving forward throughout the rest of the playoffs. But to everyone who tuned in here today, greatly appreciate it. For all of our picks, if you want to see how we've done throughout the course of the season as well as the playoffs here, you can head on over to the BetStamp app and follow us in the Find Better section as Edgework HQ. See what we've done all season long and in the playoffs here, what our record is, ROI, CLV, all that kind of stuff. You can check it out, units that we're up. But for today's picks, just a quick recap. 3 best bets today. We're looking at Brent Burns over 3.5 shots on goal, -103, full unit there. Sergei Bobrovsky over 31.5 saves, -122, full unit there. And then the under 6, -116 for a half unit. So again, Brent Burns over 3.5 shots on goal, -103, full unit. Sergei Bobrovsky over 31.5 saves, -122, full unit. And then as well, the under 6, -116 for a half unit on that one. So those are our plays for today. All of our bets for tonight. A couple questions here for you guys, or a question here before we go. Dave Redling asking, what do you think of Canes and under 6.5 goals combo? So Money, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that might be a good way to look. If you're thinking Canes are gonna win, I think that the under should be correlated with that. So Canes and under, Panthers and over. I think that's the way that that should be how the correlation works out. So at the 6.5 with the Canes, yeah, I think that if you think the Canes win, that would be the way to look at it.
Okay, there you go, Dave. Hopefully there's some actionable information for you there for tonight's game. But to everyone who tuned in here today, greatly appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe here to the Edgework HQ YouTube channel. Like this stream, like this video. Let us know in the comments after the fact what you think about the bets given out here today, if you're tailing, if you're fading them. As well, if you guys are looking for some series previews, make sure to head on over to the Edgework HQ channel where you can find in the playlist the NHL playoff previews. You can watch all the previews for each of the series. You can get more of an in-depth breakdown of each series as a whole, let alone just on a game-to-game basis. You can look at those, see what bets that we have before puck drop here tonight to kick off Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. So Money, Alex, thank you guys for taking the time to do this today. For everyone else out there in the chat, we will see you guys back here tomorrow morning, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time for more picks and previews. Enjoy the game tonight, and good luck on your bets.